Imagine you are completely broke. You owe money to everyone, your bank, your friends, three different credit cards. You are so deep in debt that just thinking about it gives you a headache. Now imagine your neighbor, big house, new car, expensive watch. Looks like he has everything figured out. Now imagine finding out he owes 40 times more than you do. That is not a hypothetical. That is America. That is Japan. That is France. That is the entire club of the world's wealthiest nations living on borrowed money so enormous the numbers stop feeling real. And nobody is panicking. That should bother you. Here is the contradiction that breaks people's brains. The richer you are, the more debt you carry, not less. More. The United States, the single most powerful economy in human history, owes over $34 trillion. Japan owes more than twice the value of everything it produces in an entire year. France has been in debt continuously since before your grandparents were born. These are not struggling countries scraping by. These are the countries everyone else wants to be. So what is actually going on? Think about the last time you borrowed money. Maybe a loan, maybe a credit card, maybe you asked a friend. Whatever it was, somebody looked at you and made a decision. Do I trust this person to pay me back? And based on that decision, they either said yes or no. And if they said yes, they probably charged you for the risk. Now think about what happens when Japan walks into a room and asks to borrow money. The entire room says yes simultaneously, at almost zero interest, with no questions asked. Because Japan is Japan. Because the idea of Japan not paying its debts feels as absurd as gravity stopping. That trust, that deeply irrational, deeply structural trust, is worth more than any gold reserve, any military force, any natural resource on the planet. It is the most valuable thing a country can own. And rich countries have spent centuries building it. But here is where it gets genuinely unsettling. This entire system, trillions of dollars of debt held together across dozens of countries, is not backed by anything physical. No gold, no oil, no vault full of something real. It is backed by a feeling, the collective belief that tomorrow will look enough like today that the numbers will still make sense. That is it. That is the whole foundation. And feelings change. Greece felt stable until 2010. Then in what felt like a matter of weeks, a country that had borrowed freely for decades suddenly could not borrow at all. Interest rates exploded. The economy collapsed. People waited in lines outside ATMs that had stopped working. The math did not change overnight. The feeling did. Argentina has defaulted on its debt 9 times. 9. And it keeps borrowing. Because what else do you do? And in 2022, the United Kingdom, one of the oldest and most stable economies on Earth, came within 72 hours of a full sovereign debt crisis because one politician gave one bad budget speech that spooked the bond market. 72 hours, one speech. So why are the richest countries also the most indebted? Because they are the only ones the world trusts enough to lend to endlessly. Because they built institutions and histories and track records that make the idea of them failing feel impossible. Because in the global debt game, size is safety and trust is currency, and the rich have an almost unlimited supply of both. They are not indebted despite being rich. They are indebted because of it. The machine works perfectly, right up until the moment it does not. And when it stops, when the feeling shifts and the trust drains and the bond market decides it has had enough, it does not stop slowly. It stops the way Greece stopped, the way Argentina stopped, the way every empire that ever borrowed beyond its means eventually stopped. Fast, brutal, and completely obvious in hindsight. The richest countries on Earth are sitting on the most sophisticated debt machine ever built. The question nobody in power wants to answer out loud is simple. What happens when the machine runs out of believers?